So today I'll be explaining you about Python decision making and loops. Fine, doing. So we have already covered the topics first, statement content, comments, indentation, variable and variable types, data type and data type conversion, operators and operator precedence. Now we are moving with the next topic, Python decision making, in which we will be covering if, elif, else, and nested if. And we will be covering Python loops, in which you will be understanding about while, for, and nested loops. And we will be covering break and continue also. So let's forget the programming language over here as we are talking about this decision making. Fine. So anybody who can tell me what is decision making?
Based on logical thinking, we need to make the decisions, sir. Like if in case of there is two types of scenarios, which is a higher positive scenario, the proper decision at the proper time.
Very right. So here you can see number of pictures over here on the slide in which the person is confused whether to which path he or she should go. Number of options are there. What should I follow? Whether it is true or false. So number of things that go into your mind. But you have some rule that if this condition is true, I will be following this path. If this is fine, I'll I'll do this. Fine. So it means you are making decision on the basis of some parameters, on the basis of some expressions over here, or in general we'll say that on the basis of some parameters, some conditions, you are taking the decisions in your life also. So when you are doing programming, so in programming also you will be having some case studies with you, fine, which you are putting into the programming. And when you are doing the programming, you are writing those case studies in the form of program syntax. And then accordingly, you are writing the code. If this condition is true, this will happen. If this condition is false, this will happen. So now what is decision making? Decision making is required when we want to execute a code only if a certain condition is satisfied. So see over here that we will be executing a code only if, right, a certain condition is satisfied. So the execution of particular code depends upon the satisfaction of the condition. If that condition is satisfied, that code will be executed. So decision making helps the programmer in transferring the control from one statement to the another in the program. So if the condition is true, the control will go to some statement. If the condition is not true, the control will go to the another statement in the program. So in simple words, if we talk about, programmer decides which statement to be executed based on a condition. So decision making statements use conditions which are similar to Boolean expressions. In Boolean expressions, we have true or false that returns us true or false. If the condition is true, it will return true. If the condition is false, it will return us false. So the programmer need to determine which action to take and which statements to execute if outcome is true or false otherwise. So if we talk about the Python programming language, it assumes any non-zero and non-null values as true. Which are the true values for Python? So any non-zero value or any non-null value. If the value is null or zero, then it is assumed to be false. So this is the simple rule that false, zero or null, true, non-zero, and non-null. So this is the simple flowchart diagram of decision making statement. So so you can see over here in this decision making box, we are checking the condition. If the condition is true, so some execute code will be executed that should be executed if the condition is true. So another path goes is if the condition is false. So we have another thing to do. So rest of the code over here, rest of the path will go. So it will be bypassed. If the condition is false, so it will not happen and directly it will go to this way, right? So Python supports various decision making statements. So what are these? First we talk about is, if else, if else, nested if, and multi-way, if else. So let's start with if statement. So you can see the syntax over here. So this if is a keyword, then you are writing some expression that needs to be checked, and it will give you the result as either true or false. So if the condition is true, the code written under this will be executed, right? So another way of writing is you can put the expression in parentheses. So both are the same. And after that, you can see over here that this colon is placed over here. If is the keyword that you always use if you are using if statement and you are writing expression, and then you are putting colon, right? And then you are writing the code what you want to execute if the condition is true. And similarly, you can put the expression in parentheses also, but everything will remain same. There will be a keyword if, then in parentheses you are writing the expression, and then you have the colon, and then you are writing the code over here in parentheses. So this is the flow chart. You are starting, you are checking the expression. If the expression is true, we have some statements to execute over here. So these are the statements basically that will be executed, which are written under this if expression. If the expression is giving you the false result, so we are stopping over here. So this is if statement, fine. So let's take the example over here. If we have taken a equal to 160, b is 145, we are checking if this is your expression, this is your if keyword, and this is the colon what we have put over here. If a is greater than b, so this is the expression we want to check, fine. So then we are writing display something onto the screen. This is what you want to display onto the screen if a is greater than b. So you have written a is greater than b. When you executed it, the answer will be displayed as a is greater than b. So let's explore more about if expression, if statement. So if test expression. So this is what we have seen is in the last slide expression. This is the keyword, and this is the colon what we have put over here. So some of the statements has been written under this. So here you can see that we do not have the concept of parentheses in Python, free of parentheses, right? So but what is the condition over here is indentation. Whenever you are writing some line of codes under something, so that should be indentation. If it is not properly indented, it will give you error if indentation is not there. Got it? So here all the program evaluates the test expression and will execute statement only if the test expression is true, and if the test expression is false, the statement is not executed. In Python, the body of the if statement is indicated. So this is very important. It is indicated by indentation, right? The body starts with an indentation, and the first unindented line marks the end. So what do you mean by that? Let's see in the example. So here, this is a variable that has been declared and value 3 has been assigned to it. right? But it is outside if, so it is not the part of if. Now if starts, and you have put the condition over here, colon over here, and now this print is indented, right? And it is under this print. Now there is no parenthesis concept. Now you can see that now this, the next print is unindented. It is not over here. So it means this, now it is considering that the unintended line has come, and now unintended line marks the end of the if statement. So then here also if, so there is only one intended statement, and this is unintended. So here we, if we run the program, we can see this is the variable, then we are testing num is greater than equal to 0. So print num is 3, 3 is a positive number, so it has been displayed. Next we have reassigned num to -1. So if num is greater than, so we are printing num is a positive number. So this is the false condition, so it will not be displayed, right? So it will not be displayed. But before that, sorry, I missed one line. After this first if statement, there was this is always printed. So this is always printed, will be printed because it is not part of any if statement. Then also this line is again not part of any if statement, because this is unindented. If we talk about if, so this will always be printed because this condition is not true, so at least this line is not printed. So the question, we need to note over here is that this line is unintended, this line is unintended, they will not become the part of if. So here, if we look at the explanation in the above example, num is greater than 0 is the text expression. The body of if is executed only if this evaluates to true when the variable num is equal to 3. The test expression is true, and the statement inside the body of is if are executed. And if the variable num is equal to -1, test expression is false, and the statement inside the body of if are skipped. Now this is important. The print statement falls outside of the if block. We say that unintended. Hence, it is executed regardless of the test expression. So indentation. So when you talk about indentation, very important when you are writing this if else if statements and all, because if you have written any unintended line, it will go out of the if statement of that block. Now we are moving towards the next type, that is if else. Previously we have seen only if the condition is false, this will happen. Now if else statement, so two components over there. If else statement evaluates, what it evaluates? Test expression, and then it will execute the body of if only when the test condition is true. And if the test condition is false, the body of else will be executed. So we have two bodies, one corresponding to if and another corresponding to else. If the condition is true, the body of if will be executed. If the condition is false, the body of the if else will be executed. And here again, the very important part is indentation is used to separate the blocks. So if some expression, test expression is there, colon is there, so this is intended body of if. Then this is the another keyword we are adding over here. Whatever statements you want to execute, so you will write over here in the intended form. And when you are done, so if this condition is false, what to happen? So we will be writing under the else part. So whatever you want to execute over here, it should be in the indented form. So flowchart. So we are starting, we are testing the expression. If it is true, so it is statements in the if branch, so these will be executed. If the false, so it will go to this side, and whatever the statements you have written under the else part, right? So they will be executed. So let's see the example over here. So example of if else. So you have assigned two variables, 160 to value to A and 180 value to B. We are testing if A is greater than B, then it should print A is bigger than B. And if this condition is false, so it should print B is bigger than A. So you can see over here that B is bigger than A. So here this condition comes out to be false. So it will skip it. So this will skip it and it will go to else part, and whatever the statement has been written over here, it will be displayed onto the screen. So you can see the output displayed over here. B is bigger than A. Then we have elif. We have added elif over here. If, elif, else, right? So here elif, you can see the keyword elif over here. Elif is a keyword that is used in Python, replacement of, what is the replacement of? Else if. Earlier you must have seen else if keyword in other programming language. In that it has been replaced with elif, 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 to place another condition in the program. And look at the new term, chained conditional. This is also called chained conditional. So let's see the syntax of this. In syntax, if you look at, if some test expression you are writing over here, you are putting the colon over here, then you are writing the statements what you want to execute if this condition is true in the form of indentation, intended, right? Then this is elif will be written over here. If this condition is false, it will go to this to test whatever the expression has been written. If this expression is true, it will execute the statements written under this, but they should also be intended. And then this is the last. If you have multiple elif written inside, so all are not fulfilling the condition. So if is not fulfilling the condition, this is not fulfilling the condition, so then by default it will go to else, and whatever has been mentioned in this statement or number of statements, they will be executed, right? So look at this flow chart. This is condition we are checking. Then if it is true, right, so we are going to the body of the if. If it is false, it is checking the condition written in elif. If it is false, so it will go to the body of else. If it is true, it will be executing the body of elif. So let's have a look at the example. So we have two variables, a equal to 160 and b equal to 160. If a is greater than b, so this statement will be executed that has been written under if. And next is elif. This is the keyword. Then you are writing the expression a double equal b colon print a and b are equal. So if this condition comes out to be true, so this will be executed. If this condition is false, this condition is false, then it will go to else for printing, for executing the statements whatever has been written under the else. So let's check the condition. So first, if condition is false, so it will go to elif. If this condition is true, it comes out to be true, so this will be printed onto the screen. A and b are equal, so it will not go to else now because it has already worked for elif, right? If elif had come out to be false, then it must have gone to else. Fine. So now this is a chained conditional. Next, we have nested if. Nested. So let's look at the term nested first. Nested means one inside another. If you remember, sometimes there is a funny video or we do fun with your friends in which we have a big box. Inside we put small box, then smaller box, smaller box, smaller box, and then smallest box, and that is empty. You used to give to your friends if you want to do fun with your friends. So we are nesting the boxes inside it. We have done nesting number of boxes into one another. So this is basically nesting, putting one after another. If you go to the market and you are purchasing boxes, sometimes you see that you have boxes of three set, in which the biggest bowl is outside, then there is a smaller bowl, then smaller bowl. So they are nested inside. So I hope you are able to understand about nesting. So when a programmer writes one statement, if statement, inside another if statement, if inside if, then it is called nested if statement. Then, uh, so let's look at the syntax. First, we are having the if keyword, right? Then you have written some Boolean expression, fine. Then you have put the colon over here. Inside it, again, you are testing some condition by putting if else loop statement. So again, you have written the same if statement, some Boolean expression, then colon over here, same syntax will remain over here. So you are writing the same kind of if statement over here also. So if this is true, you are writing indented statements, then you are writing else over here, intended statement. So you have nested this if statement inside. So this is your basically inner if statement, and this is your outer if statement. So you have nested this inner if statement inside outer. So this should also be intended, that you need to take care. You can see that if and else are at the same level, and this if and else are on the same level. So this if is related with this else. Okay, so there is no condition you can nest if anytime. Fine. So look at the flowchart now. So here you are checking some condition. If it comes out to be false, we are going to the else body part. If it is true, you are going to the nested if expression. If it is false, you can have the nested if you require. Otherwise, you can go for another nested. So nesting you can do any number of times. Let's look at an example. Here we have taken three variables A, B, C. A we have assigned 160, B we have assigned 140, C we have assigned 120. So first we are checking the condition if A is greater than B. So you are printing A is bigger than B. And then you have nested another if inside it. And where if A is greater, you are testing whether A is greater than C also. Then you will be saying that A is bigger than B and C, because in the first if you have tested for B, and in the second if you have tested for C as well against A. And if this condition is false, then you will say that C is bigger than A and B. So this is your inner if. This is nested if. And here, see, you learned about if, you have learned about if else, right? You have learned about if elif else, right? So they all can be combined in the nested if also. So here you can see is in the first part the nesting has been done. Now elif has already has also been used over here. So elif has been used where we are testing if A is greater than B, then we get test over here in elif that B is greater than C. Now here it has explained that if this condition is false, it means B is greater than A, so then B can be tested against C. If it is greater than C, so B is bigger than A and C, we have written over here. And if the both conditions are false, it means C is the bigger than A and B. So we have used here if, nested if else, if elif else. So all types have been used over here in this example. So this is the output of the program what we can see. Next we have multi-way if elif else statement. So you can see over here in this. So let's see the theory first. In the multi-way if elif else statement, the number of conditions are checked from the top to bottom. Fine. from the top to bottom. When a true condition is found, the statement associated with it will be executed, no doubt, and the rest of the conditions are skipped, because once the condition is satisfied, no need to check for the other conditions. If none of the conditions are found to be true, then last else. So we can see over here that last else, if all these, if, elif, elif, and number of elif, elif, they are all false, so then it will go to this else for execution. And all the other conditions are false. And if the final else statement is not present, suppose this is not mandatory to write. If this is not written, so then what will do? So nothing will happen, because we have nothing to do. If all these conditions are not true and else is also not there, so nothing will happen, because we do not have anything to do. So now let's look at the multi if, elif, else. So here we have seen we are starting with if, right? Then we are writing elif. We can write any number of elifs, right? Elifs, 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 any number of times elifs you have written. And then at the last, this is the conditional. If all the above ifs conditions are not true, what to do then? So this will be covered in else. And if you have not written this else, so and above all the if expressions are false, so nothing will happen. Fine. So this is the flow chart for this, in which you are checking for condition. You are executing all the statements that has been mentioned under this if, and if then this is your elif, this is your elif, and so on. In this way you can do this. So this is one of the example that has been displayed over here. So you have taken variable x equal to 10. If the value of x is equal to 1, it will display x equal to 1. If the value is, if this is false, it will go to this. If x is 5, it is false, it will go to this, it is false. If it is go to this is condition is true. So it will be executed and it will not go to this elif. So suppose if I written 8 over here, so it this condition is not true, so it must have displayed this else. Fine. So I hope you all are clear about this if else statements. Now we are moving towards the loop control statements. So loop, you all know that how to do the looping. I usually give one example corresponding to the loop. Whenever there is a limited number of seats in a cinema hall, right? So let's say we say that 50 seats are there, and we need some person that should count that 50 persons has gone inside, and then door has to be stopped. So what we need to do is we need to have a counter in your mind that starts with 0. So one person that has stood outside the cinema hall, it has initiated the counter in his mind with 0. One person go inside, his counter is increased to 1. Another person has gone inside, his counter will be increased by 1 with the previous value that is in mind. So it was 1, now it is incremented to 2. One person goes more inside, so the previously value was 2, so it is incremented to 3. One more person gone inside, so previous value was 3, now it has become 4. One more person goes inside, previous value was 4, now it has become 5, and so on. This loop will be continued in his mind till the 50 is reached. When the 50 is reached, it means he will not allow any other person to go inside, because the seats are fully occupied and he or she will close the door. So it means the looping, some kind of looping has been done. So now let's see how in Python we can do this looping through programming. A program by default follows a sequential execution of statements. Now what do you mean by that? Sequential execution of statements means that you have written the program in which the statements are written one after the another, and the interpreter will also execute all the statements as in sequence you have written. There is no brain with the interpreter that it will pick and choose. Okay, so you have written anything on the first statement, it will be executed first, then second statement, third statement, fourth statement. In this way, sequential execution of the statements will be there. Now, loops are the set of instructions which allows us to execute a statement or group of statements multiple times. So that's why we say that loop. Either because that is you have written single statement or group of statements. So depending upon that, right? Depending upon that, it will be executed multiple times. So that's why it is loop, multiple times. If the program flow is directed towards any of the earlier statements in the program, it constitutes a loop. Means let's see in the diagram. Fine. So you are starting, you are checking some condition. If this condition is satisfied, it will go back to the either statement or group of statements. So it will execute group of statements. Like in group of statements, there are 3 statements. So it will execute first statement, second, third. Again, it will test for the condition and go for, if it is true, 1, 2, 3. Go to the back, then 1, 2, 3, till this condition is false. So means sending it unconditionally causes an infinite loop, which is not desired. Means if suppose you are not checking the condition in a proper way, and it never goes into the false state, it always will remain true, then your program will keep on running and it will not stop. It will not come out of that loop. So it means it will be an infinite loop. And when your RAM do not have the capacity to bear more, your system will hang or it will crash. So you need to take care that you write condition in such a way that at particular point of time, it will become false and come out of the loop. So there are 2 types of loops in the Python. First is the while and another is the for. So while means you are checking the condition, right? This is a condition controlled loop. So very good statement you have seen over here, condition controlled loop. So here, what is the condition? True or false. So if the true, it will again execute the set of statements mentioned in the while loop, and if it is false, it will come out of that loop. For, it is count controlled. How many times you are predefined with that, and this is being the number of lines that are mentioned in that for loop, they will be repeated specific number of times. As we have taken the example of counter, in which 50% has to go inside. So 4 can be taken. So the counter we have initiated with 0, we go on incrementing 1. So this for loop will stop when the value reaches to 50. So let's look at this while loop. The while loop is a loop control statement in Python, right? So it is frequently used in programming for repeated execution of statements in loop. It executes a sequence of statements repeatedly as long as, so this is the important part, as long as a condition remains true. When the condition is false, it will come out. So let's look at this flowchart first. So here we are checking the condition. If the condition is false, so it will come out of the while loop, right? So it will come over here. If the condition is true, it will go inside the loop, and whatever the statements you have written inside the while loop, so they will be executed. And again, it will go back to test the condition again. If the condition is false, it will come out of the loop. If the condition is true, it will go inside the loop again. So here you can see the syntax. This is the keyword that you will be using, right? While keyword. and then you are writing some Boolean expression that should give you either true or false. If the condition, if this Boolean expression is giving you true, so the statements in the indented form you have written under this while loop, they will be executed. And if it is false, so it will come out of the while loop and it will not go inside the loop. Let's see the example. The loop executes until the value of num reaches less than 5. So let's see what is this. So num you have initiated. So when you are assigning some value initially to some variable outside the loop, we say it initializing the variable, right? Or we also say it as counter because it counts for you, right? So initializing. So we have initialized the variable with the value 0. So what is the condition we have put over here is while num is less than 5, till the value of num remains less than 5, it keep on executing. So here also you can see we have keyword while, we have a Boolean expression, and then there is a semicolon, a colon, right? So then what you have done is, as it has come inside, so the value of num has been incremented by 1. So num equal to num plus 1. And another way of writing this is num plus equal to 1. We have done this. So we are printing 1. So it has printed 1, right? It will go back to this condition. So still the value of num is less than 1. So these two will be executed. It will be printed 2. Now it becomes 3, 4, 5. So as the number reaches, it will come out of the loop. So the loop executes until enter input as 1. So another example. So we have one variable num equal to 0, another variable count equal to 0, another variable sum equal to 0. While num is greater than or equal to 0, till it remains positive, right? So what we are doing is num, then we are doing some typecasting, right? We are converting into integer. We are getting the input from the user. Input any number, any number, and if you are putting -1, then you will be exiting from this loop. So if the number is greater than or equal to 0, we are counting that how many inputs the user has given to us, and whatever. Then what we are doing is we are summing the numbers also. Whatever is being inputted by the user, we are summing also. When we are doing the sum, we have initiated the sum with 0, right? So it is whatever the previous sum is, we are adding the new input number what has been inputted by the user. Then when all the numbers has been entered by the user, then we are calculating the average out of it. So here we can see that enter any number and -1 to exit. This is the message, standard message displayed through this input statement, right? And the user has inputted 9. So it means now the num is greater than or equal to 0. So count comes out to be 1 and sum becomes sum equal to 0 plus 9. The sum becomes 9. Next time the user has entered 5. It is again greater than or equal to 0. Count becomes 2 and sum, previously it was 9. So sum equal to 9 plus 5, 14. So next time it has entered -1. So num is greater than or equal to 0 becomes false. Now it will come to average. So average is how many numbers it has entered? 2. Count is 2. And what is the average? Average is sum divided by count, right? So sum we have calculated 14, count was 2, answer comes out to be 7. Fine. Why 7.0? Why not 7? Because you can see over here in average, when you are doing the division, so we are getting the floating point number. Then we are coming to the loop. So we are moving into the loop. So here previously we have seen while, right? Now we are moving towards 4. So the Python for loop iterates through a sequence of objects. That is, it iterates. Iterates means iteration, uh, uh, doing something again and again. That is iteration. So it iterates through each value in sequence. So everything will be in sequence, where the sequence of objects holds multiple items of data one another. So for loop is a Python statement which repeats group of statements for a specified number of time, right? So this is similar to while. So we'll see. So keywords, what are the keywords that we'll be using when you are using for loop? Two keywords will be used. One is for, another is in, right? So these are the essential keywords to iterate the sequence of value. So let's see over here. So this is the keyword that we will be using for. Variable, some variable to be taken in. This is the keyword. This is the sequence, right? So suppose we are saying that this sequence, we can say it is a list, it is a tuple, it is a dictionary, right? Right? It can be a set, right? So, and variable when we are picking. So then after that, we have written some of the statements intended under this for loop. So one by one till this is happening, so that all the statements will be executed. So let's see the examples. First, we have taken the list, right? And we have stored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements into it. 4 is the keyword, right? And we have taken some variable I, and in is the keyword, and we are browsing through this list. So you have mentioned the name of the list over here, and after that, see the colon is there. What you want to print? You want to print the elements in the list. So print I. So every time the loop will execute, whatever the value will be there in this list, it will be stored in I, and I will be printed. So you have seen that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever is in the list, it is being printed over here. Then we are going to sum, right? We are going to add the numbers that are present in the list. So that's why we have initiated the sum with 0, right? Whenever you are doing sum, initiate it with the 0, and when you are doing product, initiate it with 1. So this is the list with the name numbers. There are 4 elements: 10, 20, 30, and 40. Again, we are writing the for loop. 4 is the keyword. NUM, we have variable we have taken. In is the keyword. And from where we want to pick the elements? From the list numbers. So we have mentioned numbers over here. And after that, we have colon. So we are printing the number, print num, right? Comma and equal to, so sum equal to sum plus 1, right? So then when we have executed the summation, we are calculating the average and then printing the average. So in the first line, what it is doing is, it is printing the number. So we have printed the number over here, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then we are putting comma over here as well. And after that, we are calculating the average. So here you can see that we have used the predefined function length, L-E-N, len. It is giving me the length of the list. So we are mentioning the name of the list inside. So the number of elements that are present in is, it will be displayed, it will be given as output. So there are 4 elements, it has given 4. Fine. So similarly, you can use range. So for I in range 1 to 5. 1 to 5 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is range 1 to 5. So this is also inbuilt function, range 1 to 5. So it will be printing 1, 2, 3, 4. So here 4 is not picked because at the last number is not picked out here. Then n equal to int input. So we have seen earlier also. Here what we have done is, we have taken the input from the user, because input is taken as string. So string is converted into int while taken the input. So now it is stored into n. For I in the range 1 to 11, you can see over here. So here 1 to 10 will be considered, right? So what we are doing is we are basically printing the table over here. So 4 multiply by 1, 4, 4 twos are 8, 4 threes are, so 1 to 10. It has been taken from the range, right? And the person is entering the number for which the table has to be displayed. So this is n, this is your range. So for I in range, so C equal to n. So here how it is being printed. So first n is printed over here, this 4. Then this multiply in the form of string. So multiply, this sign is displayed. Then I, it is picked from the range, right? So 1, 2, 3, and so on. So it is just taking from here and writing over here 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? And then equal to sign. So here equal to sign is coming, and whatever the calculation is there, so it is displayed. In this way, this for loop works. Range, we have already seen. Range, there is a built-in function in Python called range, which is used to generate a sequence of numbers, right? And can also define the begin and end and step size also. So here you can see that this is the keyword range, name of the function. Then you have from where you want to start the range, where you want to end, what is the step size. Step size means if I mention range 1 to 5, so here I have not mentioned the step, so it will be step will be 1. If I'm mentioning 2 over here, so it will be I'm starting with 1, then I'm starting with, we are adding 2 over here, so this is the step. If we mention -1, so it will be -1. So you can see over here, begin means the first beginning number, end means the last number, and step is difference between each number. So here you see, so we are starting with 10, we are ending at 20, and then we have a step of 2. So it started with 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 will not be covered over here, so it is not taken care. This is another example. So we have already seen that whenever you are inputting from the user, taken the input from the user, it will be considered as string. So we are converting into int first. So for I, this is the for loop we are using for I in. So range is used 2, n, 2. So n will be input by the user. Begin, we will be beginning with 2. We are taking the step as 2, but the input till what number it should go, it will be decided by the user input. So if we are inputting 10, so it is starting with 2, 4, 6, 8, and it will not go to 10. Nested loop, as we have seen, nested if. So similarly, we have nested loop. So we are writing 4 and 4, right? So you can see is 4 and 4. So we have 4, inside we are writing 4. Then while in while, you are mentioning while in while. Even you can mention while statement in 4, and you can write 4 in while also. So this is the example that you are writing 4 in 4. So in the previous, you can see that 4 statement is there, loop statement is there. Inside it, we have another 4, right? So you can see first what will happen is, see over here how is happen. When x will get the value 1, right? So this y will be executed. How many times? 1, yes, 2, right? 3 will not be covered. And after that, now the value of x becomes 2. So again, it will be executed 1, 2. Then it will become 3. This inner loop will again be executed 1, 2, right? So it means it will be executed 6 times. 2 times for outer x equal to 1, 2 times for outer x equal to 2, 2 times outer x equal to 3. So this is, you can see over here that this is x and this is y. So when the value of x is 1, the y is 1. Then x remains 1, y becomes 2. So next time x becomes 2, y is 1, x is 2, y is 2, x is 3, y is 1, x is 3, y is 2. So it is inner loop. So in break statement, you can find that it terminates the current loop and resumes and resumes the execution at the next statement. What do you mean by next statement? Next statement means after the loop, where whatever the next statement is there, it will come out of the loop, right? So this is the flow chart. Like this is the test expression. Fine. Then if it is false, it is coming out of the loop, and if it is true, so it will break and come out of the loop, remaining body of the loop. So let's go and see the example. uh, this is the loop in which this is for loop. For letter is a variable, in is a keyword, python is some string you have taken, colon. If letter is equal to h, then break. So it will look at first p, then y, then t. As it comes to h, it will come out of the loop. Fine. So in the example, you can see first it has printed p, then it has printed y, then it has printed h. Now the value of this variable letter becomes h. It has broken. This loop has broken, right? This loop has broken. This is the uh, body of the loop. It has broken, and now whatever the next statement in after that, so this is in the same, so this is the next statement. So HON, they will not be printed. It comes out variable equal to 10 while variable is greater than equal to 0, then it is displaying the current value, right? So they are decreasing the value. When the variable value reaches 5, it stops the loop and come out, right? So 10, 9, 8, 6, 7, 6, and now it becomes 5. The loop has been broken and it has come out of the loop over here to write goodbye, because this is not at the same level, so this is out of the loop, so it will be resumed from this side. Continue is similar kind of thing, but in the what is the difference between break and continue? Break is taking you out of the loop fully, right? But continue will not take you out of the loop, but it will take out of the iteration that is being continued. It will remain in the loop, but it will start with the next iteration only, right? And the iteration which is terminated, suppose there were 6 statements in the loop to be executed, and continue comes after 2 lines, rest of the 4 lines will not be executed for that iteration only, and it will go back to continue with the loop with next iteration. So it is not coming out of the loop, it is not exiting from the loop, but it is exiting from the iteration of that loop, particular iteration of the loop, and whatever the statements that are written after the continue statement, they will not be executed in that particular iteration. So the continue statement is exactly opposite to the break statement. Continue statement is used to skip the rest of the code inside a loop for the current iteration to execute. Loop does not terminate but continues on with the next iteration. And now what is the keyword for this? This is continue. So you are entering into the loop, you are checking for the condition. If the condition comes out to be false, so it is exiting the loop, and if it is true, the continue, and it will go back to the first statement of the iteration, next iteration. So let's see the example. So here again we have a for loop, for keyword, variable name, in keyword, string we have taken, and column we have put over here. If val is equal to I, S, T, R. So first three we have. So this condition is becoming false. So we are printing S, we are printing T, we are printing R. Now this condition matches. If val equal to R, continue means that it will continue and it will not print. It will not. So continue, it means it will go back to next iteration. So it will not print, it will not execute this statement, but it is not coming out of the loop. So it is continuing with the loop. So N and G, so they will be printing, because for N it is false, for G it is false. Only for I it is true, and it is continue. It has executed this, so it has not make the loop to continue to the next statement, whatever has been written after this continue statement, and then it has come out of the loop and it has printed the end. Fine. Then pass statement. The pass statement is a null statement. Pass statement in Python is used when a statement is required syntactically, but you do not want any command or code to execute. The pass is also useful in places where your code will eventually go but has not been written yet. So the difference between a comment and pass. So again, a very good point over here is difference between comment and pass statement in Python is that while the interpreter ignores the comment entirely, pass is not ignored. However, nothing happens when pass is executed and result is no operation. So the keyword for this is pass. So let's see the example for letter in Python. If letter equal to H, pass. Print, this is pass block. Print current user letter goodbye. So let's see P Y T. We have printed. Now the condition becomes true for H. This statement over here is pass. So it has printed print. This is pass block, right? So it has printed. This is pass block. Then it continues with H also, O also, N also, and it is coming out of the loop and it is saying goodbye. So these are some of the references that has been used for making the slides. So okay, so learning by doing. So you have learned a lot of things about this, about if, about while, about break, about continue, about pass. So I advise you to do the practice a lot and learn by doing.